Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barber, and let's talk about the LSU Clemson game that just ended. And so that's why LSU, they get the shirt for finally winning an opening game. So Brian Kelly ended that terrible streak of dropping opening games. Now, in the last few years, their opening games have been against really good teams. But if they expect to be a national championship contender or an SEC championship contender, you got to win some of these opening games. You got to show that you can come out of the gates and get it done. So good for them. They got it done. That was a bit of a slog, a bit of a slugfest sort of game. Not a lot of points scored. It was a defensive battle. We kind of expected Clemson to have a good defense this year, but now I think the SEC and the country is on alert because LSU now has a defense. Harold Perkins is back. He looks outstanding. They have a cornerback there that looks really good. The front seven looks good. I mean, the rest of the country's got to be wondering, okay, now all of a sudden LSU finally has a defense. It's what's been missing for the last number of years here. Clemson, we always expect to have a good defense, but man, they do not have an offense. But by the way, on the wall, so we've got horns down and Alabama upside down for blowing it today. So that's earlier videos that was there. So they just retain the upside down status for today. But let's dig into this game a little bit. It just ended, so I just wanted to get some thoughts out here, see what you think. As far as team as far as team stats go, LSU had 24 first downs, Clemson had 13, and the time of possession, LSU won that 37 minutes to 23. They really controlled this game. And if you paid attention here, it was one of the major factors here is Clemson has zero rush game. They rushed for 31 yards in this game. You can't be considered a serious national title contender running for 31 yards. And their number one running back's a converted wide receiver. Now, granted, with that said, he's kind of a beast, and he had a great touchdown run where he basically just made it happen, Adam Randall. But he had 5 carries for 16 yards. That's your number one rusher. That's not going to get it done. That's not national championship material when you can't run the ball at all. So, I mean, that's one of the worst, if not the worst rushing total of any of the top teams this weekend. They got a real problem there. And I think part of that's the offensive line. This Clemson offensive line was getting completely overwhelmed by LSU's front seven. They could not protect, first of all, they can't run block at all, and they could not protect Klubnik at all. It's not like Garrett Riley is an idiot as far as a play caller. He's one of the best play callers, so he clearly does not have the pieces. And their number one receiver is out, but it's hard to make that as an excuse if you're expected to be a national title contender and you're missing one piece, and now the offense just is terrible. It can't be that one player is that important. But I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe the whole thing revolves around him, and without him, they just don't know how to put this offense together without him. I find that really hard to believe. It can't just be that, I guess with Mario Williams, without him, they can't put up more than 10 points. I don't think that's it. I think the answer here is LSU's defense is actually that good. And, the defensive coordinator knows what to do with these pieces. And maybe finally they figured out how to use Perkins. I mean, he might be the most talented defensive player in the country, if not one of the top 3. And it shocks me that somewhere along the line, they've spent entire seasons not knowing how to use a guy that talented. So it may be that this year they've figured it out. And I think he put the pressure on to finish the game off on the final play there. So, I mean, it looks like it's just one game sample, but it looks like this team might actually have the defense to complement the offense. Now, it's not like they shot the lights out here. Nussmeier had 230 yards and a TD, and they only ran for 100 yards. Caden Durham looks like a legitimate running back here. He had 17 carries, 74 yards, and a TD. So you'd say they did just enough. It's not, and then again, Clemson's got a really, really good defense. They probably have 2 first-rounders on that defensive line. They have really good linebackers, good corners. So it was going to be, I thought it was going to be some kind of a slugfest. I was surprised that LSU's defense looks this stout already. So they did all kinds of work in the offseason. I think they had the number 1 transfer portal class too. So whatever they did, and whatever move, not just the moves they made, but the coaching decisions, strategies, whatever went into camp throughout the summer, spring and summer, it came together pretty quickly for this defense to look really goddamn good. And maybe it's a bit of a combination of Clemson's offense being a bit anemic, but that front seven of LSU's looks really good. So what can we say about both of these teams? It's the loss. It's an out of conference loss. It doesn't affect Clemson's ability to win the ACC, which then in turn is still a route to the playoffs. So the playoffs are still on the table for Clemson, even though they took this loss. But the margin for error just got way smaller, and their likely route in is probably having to win the ACC and or can't afford maybe one more loss. But they don't. The ACC's schedule isn't so strong that they can afford to be like 10-2 and not even make the ACC championship game. Like they're maybe the only other way in if they don't win the ACC is get to the ACC championship game, and their only other loss is the ACC championship game. So like 11-2 type thing. So their margin for error just got way smaller, but there's still a route to the playoffs for them. But the more concerning thing is how ugly this offense looks, how weak the rushing game is, and how underwhelming that offensive line looked. And that just got compounded by seeing how dominant FSU's both offensive and defensive lines just looked in their complete like steamrolling of Alabama earlier today. So, going into the season, we weren't sure what we were going to see. Clemson was the heavy favorite. Now all of a sudden, after seeing the beating FSU put on Alabama and the weakness of Clemson's run game and just the offensive line's ability to protect, all of a sudden it's like, how can this team beat FSU? If today is a snapshot of what these teams really are, Clemson's got problems now in the ACC with FSU. Now on the other side, but the future, it's all there. They can still make the playoffs. Nothing. This game doesn't technically stop them from getting to all of their quote unquote goals. But LSU, oh boy, not a lot of points. Obviously, Clemson's a good defense, so we understand that. But finally got over the hump. Look like they have a legitimate defense on their side, and maybe this now puts the SEC on alert. Nussmeier's, he knows how to handle the game, and that tight end, Jesus Christ, that tight end. I think he's 6'7". That guy is a problem. He's not the greatest blocker. If you actually Tradez Green, if you pay attention to him on the film, he's sort of, at least last year's film, he missed a lot of blocking assignments. But Jesus, he's a problem in the pass game when you have an 8 or 9 inch advantage over cornerbacks. Like that one play in the end zone, Terrell's Clemson's best cover corner, but he's not going to cover a guy that's a foot taller than him. It's just not going to work. So they have some interesting pieces here. Nussmeier looks every bit the part of the multi-year starter senior quarterback, came back to finish the job, which Klubnik was trying to do the same thing. And to be fair, their numbers are somewhat similar, but Nussmeier has a better supporting cast, and Klubnik does not, at least at the moment. And LSU, it's all there for the taking. This is a massive signature win, out of conference win. It's going to help a lot if somehow LSU drops a game or two and goes to the end of the season maybe with 2 losses, maybe doesn't make the SEC championship game. But if they're a 10-2 type team and one of their wins is this Clemson win, this is now a signature win. I mean, assuming Clemson hangs on and is still a solid team here and doesn't just collapse or anything, this should turn out to be a signature win for LSU. And it's all on the table now for them. They've just sort of bought their way another way into the playoffs without having to make the SEC championship game. Now, obviously, it'd be better for them to make the championship. I'm sure they obviously want to win every game. They want to get to the SEC championship game, but now they have that extra route given this having a huge high profile out of conference win here. So they're in great position right now. And with the apparent weakness that we've seen with Alabama, it's okay. So what data points do we have? Let's talk about the data points we have. We'll go to the ACC first. So far, as of this recording, FSU, at least what we've seen, Miami hasn't played yet. So far, FSU looks like the best team in the ACC that we would have never guessed is happening. Not too many other teams have either played or put enough on film. Georgia Tech looks like they're going to be tough. They're my dark horse for the ACC. And Clemson, they have a strong defense, but man, this offense is leaving a lot to be desired. But with that said, they were up against what now looks like a really good defense. And on LSU's side, Alabama put a stinker out there and just got overwhelmed. They actually just got they were overmatched. FSU's just a way better team than Alabama, at least on today. But the things they were better at, they dominated them on the ground, and they outrushed them 3-1 or whatever it was. They put up 230 yards on them and held Alabama to 70 something yards. Like, that's a beatdown, and that's a beatdown in the trenches. So that translates. That doesn't look like a fluke type game. That looks like, oh, if that's how Malzahn's going to run this offense, and that's how strong FSU's front seven is, that Alabama, they just got worked. And if LSU's front seven kind of looks pretty strong, and if Alabama struggles in the trenches against FSU, you'd probably think they're going to struggle against LSU. So I know that's a lot of 3-letter things going on there. Anyways, the point is, just from what we've seen so far, obviously it could be an overreaction and Bama could rebound. But now all of a sudden LSU looks like a tougher challenge in the SEC than they have been in the last few years, because now they have a defense. So it's something. A bunch of things have just seemed to have changed. The perspective of at least these two conferences, the ACC and the SEC, seem to have changed all at once, just in a couple games here on the first week. Now, who knows? There's the whole season still to go. Everything could change. But if these are true representations of these teams, and I'm only speaking about the teams who've played against another big team, so. Whatever SMU is doing against whoever they're playing at, it's not going to really be indicative of who they are. We need to see them start playing somebody that's like a competent team. But right now, these were both projected to be playoff type teams, and Clemson just doesn't look like they have the offense to actually be a playoff team. But they do have the defense. LSU, on the other hand, looks like they have a defense that they never had before. Now, 17 points isn't a whole lot, but again, playing against a really good defense. So I suppose you could say they're almost mirror images of each other, but man, holding a team to 30 yards rush, that's bad. That's really bad. And so if you want to look at it that way, the major edge here was LSU was actually capable of running the ball, and Clemson just absolutely was not. And that's not a recipe for a deep run in the playoffs or beating any other big-time team. So it ominously does not add up well for Clemson facing FSU after what FSU did to Bama. And who knows, maybe LSU's defense is strong enough for them to hang in there against the teams that could take advantage of them last year, for how weak their defense has been in the last couple of years. So, that's all I got for this game. Let me know what you think. Obviously there's a lot more we could talk about. There was that kind of chintzy touchdown catch call on LSU where seemingly a touchdown catch was taken away. I don't want to complain about the refs. It's more a commentary of, I can't believe in 2025 we still don't know what a catch is. He caught the ball. He had a foot down in the end zone, and then as he ended up out of bounds, the ball seemed to touch the ground and shift. And then the guy in the booth said it to him, it's a touchdown, because he's like, oh, that's control, that's a foot in, it's over. Doesn't matter what happens out of bounds. And then the refs on the field thought that was all continuation and he needed to survive the ground. So, you know what? That sort of thing's going to happen all year long. There's going to be a catch that we all thought was a catch and it gets called back. And there's going to be one where it looks like the ball shifted and, it should be incomplete, but they call it a catch. So I kind of don't want to focus on that. But that was a moment, that specific play was a moment where it looked like just everything was going Clemson's way. And then LSU missed the field goal. And it looked like, it's like the football gods are handing this thing to Clemson to come back and they took a touchdown away from LSU. LSU misses the field goal. Clemson now has the ball. They've got the momentum. They're at home, and they couldn't do anything with it. LSU held them off, and so that was almost like a statement thing right there, where it looked like it was going to be, oh, here we go, it's LSU. They're going to lose this game again, but they didn't. And there was this moment where it looked like, oh, they had all the momentum and all of it got taken away from them, and they recaptured it, which showed like a lot of grit, I think, for LSU to survive that. Like they could have fallen apart in that moment, thinking, here we go again, and they didn't. So so it's not really a comment on whether or not it was really a catch. It was more of a comment on they could have had their spirits gutted right there, and instead they just fought through it, and they completed the job. So, but well, like I said, Clemson still can make the playoffs. This doesn't stop them. It just makes their margin for error a lot smaller, and LSU has just now expanded its margin of error for making the playoffs. So that's what I got for this one. Good for LSU. It's been a great weekend. We've got a couple more games to go tomorrow, and then a very interesting one on Monday. We finally get to see Belichick. But I appreciate you being here. I know my channel's tiny. There's not a lot of people watching, but if you're still here and you're still watching, I super appreciate it. If you do like what I got going on, please, if you want, maybe share. And also let me know what you think in the comments. Did I get the point across in this game did I seem to call out what was the key points in the game that you think were the key points, or was there something you're sitting there thinking I should have said that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Always interesting to hear what you think. And other than that, I'll be back with some reviews and with my co-host tomorrow to review the whole weekend, and come back and check that out tomorrow. All right, we'll catch you later.